Welcome to the Wonder With Me podcast, where I, Dr. Tonia Winchester, invite you to get curious with me about all things mind-body healing, especially how we can unlock the incredible healing power of our unconscious minds, so that we can all get out of stress mode and go back into healing mode. We'll talk about how you can easily create healthy, sustainable self-care habits so that you can calm your mind, sleep deeply, wake rested, and enjoy happy, energized days. Ultimately, so that you can make a bigger difference in your well-being and that of your family and the world around you. These casual chats are for educational purposes only and don't constitute a therapeutic relationship. With all that said, let's get this episode underway. Come wonder with me. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Wonder With Me podcast. This is season 1, episode 18, and I am your hostess, doctor, and our coach, Tonia Winchester. I'm wondering if you ever get mad at your body. I'm wondering if you ever get frustrated with your physical symptoms, maybe even your mental, emotional symptoms. And you think you're doing all the right things, but you're still suffering and still struggling in the same patterns. Now, what if you were to wonder about your body actually trying to help you versus harm you? What if you assumed that instead of there being something wrong with your body, that there was actually everything perfectly right with it? Mind-blowing question, I know. But seriously though, how would that change things for you? If you wondered about this differently, what would that open up for you? We dive deeply into these curiosities in this episode, in which I ask a mind-blowing question that even has me going, whoa, when I was re-listening to it to get notes for this very preamble. Yeah, that's true. I'm taking notes from myself. I offer a really intelligent reframe of that old expression, hurt people, hurt people. Hurt being an adjective, people being a noun, hurt being a verb, people being a noun again. So hurt people, hurt people. And I also share 4 really key assumptions of Neurolinguistic Programming, NLP, that personally make my life way more comfortable, especially when I have to interact with other human beings in my life, and keep me sane in the face of tragedy and terrible behavior from other people. There's going to be some links to some other podcasts that might allow you to have a more full understanding of this conversation today. You know I love sending you on rabbit holes with past episodes. With all of that being said, let's get into it. Let's get wondering. What if you thought of it this way instead? My friend kindly excused herself from the group gathering. Her eyes were leaking. She wasn't crying because she was emotional. Her eyes had been watering for a couple of hours and just wouldn't let up. We were away on this rustic retreat weekend at a location with deep sentimental value to us. Allergies, she wondered? Maybe. Maybe a specific new pollen that she wasn't exposed to back home? She had no other symptoms except her gushing eyeballs. What we pieced together later was my friend was actually having a detox reaction. The staff had run bleach through the hot water lines, and there was still a lot of residual chlorine when she had her shower. The heat turned that into a gas, which she breathed in, and she also absorbed it, of course, through her skin. The context of this weekend was a gathering of humans in their mid-40s and 50s who had all worked together at a kids' summer camp 20 to 25 years before this. Admittedly, it was an epic reunion and a riot ruckus, that is for sure. As can happen with the passing of time, I noticed changes amongst the group. More groans getting in and out of chairs. Less activity, except me, who cut 20 minutes off my time of my solo hike up this mountain from the previous year. You can see the picture near this video. I noticed more excuses for the whys they couldn't or wouldn't. Body pains, conditions, concerns, pending or recovering surgeries, complaints about getting older and what all of that means. This same friend said to me, Tonia, I don't hear you complain about pain. And she's right. Generally, I have no pains to complain about. And at this particular time, I was aware of a sensation in my left glute, my butt, and it definitely grabbed my attention with each step I took, and seemed to be getting more pronounced as the weekend wore on. Here's what tumbled out of my mouth when she shared her observation. I've got this one thing right now that I know is just an adaptation to a new dance move that I'm learning. Gosh, sometimes I surprise myself at the unplanned, brilliant things that I say. Now, I'm sure others, had they been inside my body, would have called that pain. They would have assumed that something was wrong. But I assumed the opposite. I believed with every fiber of my being that my body was doing everything right, everything perfectly. It was adapting like a champ to the new moves that I was practicing. And my friend's body was doing the same thing. It was expressing a perfectly reasonable adaptation to this toxic exposure. Her body was creating tears to release the chlorine from her system. It's perfect, right? I mean, when you really think about it, it is. And the truth is, we all are perfect. That is exactly where we are. What I mean by this is everything, all symptoms that our bodies are showing us, no matter how uncomfortable or painful, are perfect adaptations to whatever circumstances existed before or continue to exist. Our bodies are not out to get us. They're not here to make us miserable. They are doing their best to adapt to whatever is going on, whatever we're choosing to do or not to do to our bodies. Our systems are so intelligent and all contain a healing genius inside of them. And this is one of the main tenets of naturopathic medicine, that all organisms have an innate, yes, it's there without even needing to learn it or consciously direct it, an innate ability to heal and self-correct, to adapt. We even have a name for this, the V Medicatrix Naturae, the healing power within. My colleagues and I affectionately shorten the name to simply the V. Another tenet of naturopathic medicine is to get to the root cause of illness instead of just treating the symptoms. And what if? Just for a moment, stop and consider, what if our belief that something is wrong with us is the root cause of our symptoms and diseases? Now, obviously, I'm not going to suggest that belief as the only thing that's making us sick, but what if it did play a part? What would it be like if you could embody the belief that your system is actually perfectly adapted and adapting to whatever choices you're making or not making, and whatever your environment is offering you in return? What would it mean if you believed that your V was actually doing its best to keep you well? Let's look at some specific examples. An NLP colleague shares a story of growing up with debilitating migraines. Turns out they served a really important purpose for him. When he was inebriated, in pain, and vomiting himself dry, the house was quiet and his aggressive, drunk father left him alone. His body had decided that this was the best adaptation for safety, considering the circumstances. Early on in his NLP journey, he was able to reprogram this decision, and since the initial thing to which he had adapted was no longer relevant, he hasn't had a migraine since. His system was not failing him, just giving him feedback about what wasn't working in his environment. When I kept choosing to stay in a toxic clinic situation, my body decided to gain 35 pounds in 1 year. It is tremendous gain when my food and movement habits had changed very little. I see now my system was trying to create distance and protection from the scary human. When I had my first NLP coaching breakthrough, I'm up to 4 now, I cleared the trauma out of my body, releasing this painful imprint of these past experiences, these significant emotional events. I changed my internal programming so that I felt safe again. I didn't need the weight-gaining behavior anymore, and it shed. Slowly, over several months, I returned to my baseline, approximately my high school weight. The thing is, I understand now that even my colleague's dad and my clinic mate were perfectly adapted to their pain, and I am assuming their trauma. That old adage, hurt people, and I like this reframe, this updated version, healed people heal people. I mentioned this in one of the early chapters of the book, my book, Breakthrough the Insomnia Cycle, previously entitled Smiling in the Shower. And this brings us to the beautiful bridge that marries my 2 non-human life loves, naturopathic medicine and neurolinguistic programming. There are certain convenient assumptions in NLP that corroborate what I believe to be true from naturopathic medicine. My favorites include that people are not their behaviors. We can accept the person and change the behavior. The person can do that. Everyone is doing the best they can with the resources they have available, aka healed people heal people. Behavior is geared for adaptation, and present behavior is the best choice available. Every behavior is motivated by a positive intent, aka the root cause. People have all the resources they need to succeed and to achieve their desired outcome, the V. There is only feedback, no failure. Your body is doing everything perfectly right. Everything that we perceive as problems is trying to have some sort of need met. There is a deeper intention, a higher purpose. I hold on to this belief, and it keeps me sane when I think about some of the awful things that people do to each other in this world. Awful, but perfectly adapted to their past pain. So here we are, wrapping this up. What do I want to leave you with? 1, the curiosity, the what if. What if you considered your aches and pains and even diseases to be the best response to something that you're choosing or not choosing in your environment? 2, the compassion. How can you start to pay attention to your genius system and connect with it so you can learn what feedback it might be trying to offer you about your choices and your current or past situations? 3, the consideration to what are you asking, or to what have you been inadvertently asking your system to adapt? And pause and question, is that good for you in the long run? Is this a short-term chemical exposure and you just need to cry it out? Is this a consistent and regular hurtful lifestyle choice that is forcing your body into a corner of inflammation or disease? My butt pain, gone. Gone after about 3 days. It dissolved and it hasn't returned. I believe this happened so quickly because of how I saw it as a perfect adaptation. When you get honest with this question, you next ask yourself, am I willing to change those circumstances so that my system can adapt in a more comfortable and safe way? And that's exactly what I do. I help people to make self-affirming decisions, both consciously and unconsciously, so that their bodies can go back into healing mode. They can get the rest they need and be primed to create healthy, positive, and enduring habits that propel them to reach specific health, wellness, and relationship goals. I help people create delightful situations for their systems to adapt to. And if that's you, then here are 2 simple options to work together. First, if you haven't, grab yourself a copy of Breakthrough the Insomnia Cycle. Next, if you're really ready to have support on this, book yourself in for a call with myself or my team. We'll chat heart to heart to find out if what you're wanting is a match for how I love to help. And if it's a fit, I might invite you to work with me one-on-one in a brain-based coaching breakthrough where you will expedite your positive adaptation ability. Thank you so much for listening, and may you choose to make all your dreams come true. Hey, thanks for wondering with me today. If you've got something good out of this, then please forward this episode along to the people who you know could benefit. Be sure to subscribe, and if you're really keen, you leaving us a rating and review helps us to help more people, so thank you in advance for that. If you're wanting more insights about how you can leverage the power of your unconscious mind to go back into healing mode, head on over to toniawinchester.com, where you'll find my book, Breakthrough the Insomnia Cycle, and other helpful ideas. Thanks again, and we'll connect on the next episode of the Wonder With Me podcast. In the meantime, may you choose to make all of your dreams come true.